Hello everybody, Chief Meteorologist Tim Buckley with you. It's 10 o'clock here on our Thursday, getting ready to forecast more about this storm. And we really have to talk about it in a serious way because it is a serious situation. We're not looking at a fun winter storm. It's not going to be one of those where we're building snowmen and going sledding and all of these fun things that can happen. Instead, we've kind of got to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. That's the way that ice plays in North Carolina, and we've seen it through the years. I think we'll see it again this weekend. The question is just, is it kind of bad or really bad? Those are both on the table for the whole of our area. So let's get to it here. We're talking about the impacts of the winter storm, which is starting Saturday afternoon at the earliest, expecting it to linger a little bit, kind of going farther along into late Sunday, and then the impacts will last, unfortunately, into Monday and Tuesday because cold weather starts to move in our way. So these are the impacts I'm expecting. High levels of ice, potentially. High levels of travel problems, power problems, you name it, we've got it. The thing that's not a huge impact for us is actually the snowfall, because that'll be such a brief period of time on Saturday, and then that transitions into sleet. So we do have a weather impact alert. We've had it all week. Saturday afternoon is when it starts. Tuesday morning is when it wraps up, or at least we think so right now. Icy travel is going to be a problem. That icy travel will really start to go downhill Saturday night. So you can move about the area. You can do what you like to do going into Saturday afternoon. But you can't really do a lot of this of traveling on Sunday. That's just not something you're able to do. So once we get into Sunday morning, that's when we're starting to really see things go downhill pretty quickly. So Sunday morning into Sunday afternoon, that's when we get more of the ice variety, and we start to see that accumulating on the trees. It can weigh them down, and that's when we can get into problems with power outages, okay? So the main impacts here, icy travel, power outages, Arctic chill, afterwards. So we have a big level of impact here, and that's going to last over a long period of time. We're a little close enough now that we can start to give you forecast models that go throughout the whole storm. So let's take a look. This is our Futurecast product. It only goes out about 3 days, but we're within 3 days now, finally. Let's take a look at it. Saturday morning, you're clear. Nothing going on at that point. Temperatures will be in the low 20s. After that, we go into Saturday. In the afternoon and evening. That purple shade on the screen, that's meant to represent sleet. So that's your sleet starting to move in. That sleet's going to be an issue, but it's preferable to freezing rain. Sleet can bounce off everything and accumulate in the grass. It doesn't stick over all of the roads, but it is a problem. All the same, it is still going to accumulate, and it will make for difficult travel. So that's Saturday evening. This is around 10 o'clock. This is around 10 o'clock or so. Let's take a look going into Sunday morning. We're still dealing with sleet. The longer we can keep that around, the better. We would prefer to do that. We would like to do that. That's Sunday morning, but you start to see that other pinkish shade come into view. That's the freezing rain. And freezing rain, as a reminder, there's a difference between the two. Freezing rain is the glazed donut, sleet, the sprinkles on top of the donut. So let's take a look at that. This is only 5 a.m. now, 5 to 6 a.m. Sunday morning. Notice how the freezing rain starts to creep farther and farther north, so that by Sunday afternoon, we're dealing with freezing rain. We still have a good chunk of the storm left over, and I think we'll have to deal with some problems. Some pretty significant icing is likely. Just to finish off that run for you, there's Sunday morning. Here's Sunday afternoon, and that's the end of it for our computer model. But notice how it has us warming up throughout the day. I think it's wrong in that regard. I don't think it's going to warm up that much to around 32 by the end of it. I don't think that's right. But in any case, we got issues here. So let's talk about amounts. The snow and the sleet, that's not the headline here. But there is going to be a lot of sleet on the ground, and it should be around 1 to 2 inches. Across most of the Piedmont Triad area. Closer to 2 and 3 and maybe even 4 inches the farther north that you go. And then farther south that you go, more like a coating to an inch. Again, this is not pretty. It's not that fun, but it is an issue because you got to drive in this. Or you shouldn't drive in it. You got to wait for it to get off the roads. Moreover, so it's just a lot of things that'll be on the roadway. Here's the problem, okay? And this is our freezing rain risk map, which I've edited a little bit. I do think we have some problems here. So when we're talking about who has 1/4 of an inch of ice or more, that's when you start to get into problems Quarter of an inch is when you start to get into problems. So that would include Winston-Salem, Lexington, Greensboro, Reedsville, Burlington. All of you would be in this quarter inch to half inch zone. That's plenty enough to down power lines and down branches here and there. The farther south you go, maybe a bigger chance, unfortunately, of higher amounts because you switch over to that freezing rain more quickly, remember? So that's part of the issue. You could see over a half an inch down there, and that's really a problem. And that extends from Raleigh all the way to Charlotte, by the way. So this is a big chunk of the state's population that's dealing with some truly, truly awful amounts of freezing rain. As far as freezing rain impacts, it looks something like this. You can see here moderate, severe, and minor. Take a look. We're showing you that once you're at a tenth of an inch, you start to see some sagging on the trees, but it's usually not all that bad. Moderate impacts over a quarter of an inch, definitely having some issues, but over half an inch doesn't happen all that often. There's a lot going on. That's when you have widespread tree damage, widespread power outages. That's an ice storm you never forget once you get over half an inch. And we've had some of those, and we'll continue to have those. It's part of our climate in North Carolina to get these kind of storms. But it doesn't make them easy to live through, and it doesn't make them fun in any way. So here's your timeline on the storm. We do think dangerous travel starts to set in Sunday morning, lasting through Sunday afternoon and evening, and all the way into early Monday morning. Sleet is primarily a factor overnight Saturday and into Sunday morning. Then it takes over being freezing rain with a big issue Sunday afternoon. Power outages, probably going to be a problem not until Sunday afternoon and evening. And then into the day on Monday, something we really haven't talked about very much is that the wind will start to pick up. So it starts to get pretty windy out there by the end of the storm. So you already have ice in the trees. And then at that point, you're going to start to create some gusty winds also. Even on Sunday, there's a bit of a wind outside. It's not terribly strong. But we do still have some winds blowing around on Sunday afternoon. My graphic is loading here, so that's why the numbers and everything don't really match up quite nicely. But it will get pretty gusty by the end of Sunday, and then by Monday, I think we could have some wind gusts around 30 miles per hour on your Monday, and that could bring down some trees as well. Bottom line, we're going to see a lot of mixed precipitation here. Snow is easy to understand. It's always just below 32 the whole way. Sleet, that's when you have a little layer of warm air above our heads. And that's a problem because that melts the snowflake and then you refreeze it into an ice pellet. But if you have a lot more of the warm air, that's when you can have freezing rain. Freezing rain is the worst. It is the heaviest precipitation on trees and on power lines because it weighs them down. It freezes on contact and then there's no real way for you to get that weight off the trees, and so sometimes they snap and they do in fact break. We do have a winter storm watch for the entire area. That goes until Monday. Tomorrow this will be upgraded to a winter storm warning. They do that usually within about 36 hours. Temperatures behind the storm are going to be exceptionally bad. So on Monday and then into Tuesday morning, you can see what we're dealing with. This is around 5 a.m. on Tuesday. Think about if you don't have power. This is kind of what you're fighting outside. And so this is brutally cold air, and a lot of us are not going to have power to deal with that. And then even during the daytime hours next week, it will still be cold out there. So this is a big deal. And those roads are going to stay bad for quite a while, and the power outage will probably last quite a while as well. So we do have a lot going on with our forecast. So just to recap for you, winter storm is likely. It starts Saturday afternoon. It lingers into Sunday. Once it shuts off, our impacts don't stop. We're still going to have bad roads most of next week. We could have power outages that last a really long time as well. So all of these are things you got to think about, things you got to prepare for. If you're trying to make last-minute preparations for the storm, you still have all day to do it tomorrow. All day, well, not all day Saturday, but Saturday morning into Saturday afternoon, you still have time there also. And then the snow would start, and mixing with some sleet as well. So that's your 7-day forecast. We are going to have some tough days ahead. Make sure to look out for one another and make sure you have a plan. Plan to be stuck where you are for a couple of days, probably from Saturday afternoon through early next week. That's just the way it is. So we'll be tracking it for you every step of the way. We'll see you again right here at 11 o'clock for News 2 at 11.